Okay. Hello, I'm Gayle Merrill, and we're here for the Poet in the Spotlight. And at the moment, our poet is not in the spotlight. She is not here yet. But Rada and Rosa have been working together, and so Rada's going to get started. Go ahead, Rada. Welcome.
Thank you, Gayle. And I want to begin by thanking all of you for showing up. It's a vulnerable thing to be an artist and to experience something really deeply and then put it out there in the world. And I know you're a particularly loving group, so we're really happy you're here. But thank you for showing up. I'm going to save, well, let me just talk a little bit about how Katie and I got to know each other. I met Katie on the Baba Zoom, singing the names of God and Maris T. And I really just loved what she said. She touched my heart. And so one day she asked me on the note page if she could call me about something. And I said, sure. So I gave her my phone number. And she told me she was going to be doing this. And she asked me if I could read her poems because she has she's getting harder and harder to see. And so I said, sure, I'd be delighted. I was really excited to be asked because I love poetry. I used to do a poetry workshop with children and have written a little bit myself. So she just started sending me all of her poems. And she said, well, there's some here, there's some there. I'm not sure where they are. And I said, just send them all to me. I'll make a folder on my computer for you, for your poems. And so she did. And, I think at this point, there are about 30 poems that I have, and I know she's written more. So I said, I think what we need to do is cull down the number of poems for the Baba Zoom. And so what we did was we had so much fun making up this little system. I would read a poem and we would rate it a yes, a maybe, or a no. That was just for this event. We're trying to sort out our favorite poems. So for those of you that are writing and want to collect your poetry, I think for me, organizing and kind of getting things organized on different levels really helps.
There she is.
She's
here.
Yay, you're muted, Rosa. Yay.
I can't believe that Baba did this. He just blew my mind.
Why can't you? I can.
And I was just thinking about the ways and Baba shows me who's in charge, and this happened. I mean, it's really extraordinary. So thank you, everybody who's being here. I'm so grateful, and it's just, I don't know what to say, but you've all lived a life with the beloved, so here we are, and thank you. And I don't know where we are, Rada. Thanks for.
I've just been talking away, Rosa.
We've been waiting for you.
And so, would you like to begin with the first prayer? The prayer of first morning.
Okay. And did you explain about pauses between and people's questions and comments are welcome?
No, I didn't. So I'll let you do that.
Yeah, so there will be a pause. It takes time for me to digest the depth of a poem. Sometimes I need it to be repeated. So there's a pause, and feel free to make a comment or a question or not. I was going to tell you a little bit about myself, but since I will just tell you one thing, and I'll save all those juicy stories for another time or the break we have in the middle. There have been two main streams of focus and energy in my life, like you could say, like thick threads in the tapestry of my life that continued. One was spirituality and the other was creativity, self-expressive creativity. And I discovered that I had great connection with ancient Sufis, and that allayed a lot of my confusion, finally finding a home base. And poetry words were a continuing friend of mine through my journey. And during the pandemic, I signed up. There was so much, pause on the planet. And there was a lot of time for introspection. And there was this 5-day poetry challenge offered. And it was so perfect, of course. It was designed by a woman who is a meditator and a published writer and a yoga instructor. So it was based in mind, body, spirit. It was not an instruction in writing poems ever. It was designed to help women find their authentic voice. And in the midst of the clamor of all the chaos of the pandemic and the fear, was this absolute oasis of the most kind, supportive women, really encouraging each of us to go deep. And that's how I came to start having an actual practice of writing, these moments of my unique journey. And we all have unique journeys, no doubt about it. As they say, there are as many paths to God as there are souls. So this first poem is called Prayer of the First Morning, 2024. And it came right after Artie. So it seems appropriate to start our delayed hour together with this first poem. Oh, friends, as we awaken from our long sojourn in the jungle of ignorance, let us bow in thanksgiving for all that's already been given and how deeply and perfectly we are each cared for, every moment, always. I have a little eyesight issue here, so sorry. How can I adequately ever express my heart's unending gratitude? There are no words, only a heart that bows and beats for you. We are so infinitely blessed that you, beloved Baba, have drawn us to live our lives in the orbit of your divine love, flawless wisdom, and sweetest care. Oh Lord, there is nothing like the unconditional love of you, dearest Baba, beloved of beloveds, highest of the high. Jai Mayor Baba. So because among many things, pieces that have been taken away one by one, beloved, so he could have all my attention, which he has succeeded marvelously in accomplishing. My dear friend Radha is going to read the rest of the selected poems, and I thank you, Radha, and I thank everybody who has chosen to be here and share in this hour. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
That was a lovely reading, Rosa.
Thank you. And I will return at the end with the recitation of a short closing poem. So Rod and Baba, take it away.
Open your heart. Open your heart. Add to the love in the world. Tis noble work to become that empty vessel through which the divine flows. Don't despair, friend. You've embarked on the true life. The way out is in.
I'd like you to read that again.
Thank you. I'm sorry. It was just, Rosa, following you is not easy.
I am so touched. No, oh, it's Baba making us feel his presence even
Yeah,
more. It's so beautiful.
It's always been a problem of mine. I feel things so deeply that, anyway, here we go again. Open your heart. Open your heart, add to the love in the world. 'Tis noble work to become that empty vessel through which the divine flows. Don't despair, friend. You've embarked on the true life. The way out is in. Lead into gold. Hard to write a poem when life becomes the fluid flow of the temporary and transient, when nuanced images, even the best of them, might be rendered obsolete in the next breath. Oh, this lifetime, both significant and illusory, is an evanescent light bubble bobbing for a moment in the endless ocean. Eventually, life's journey leads to a search for deep meaning deeper than egoic drives and pleasures. Fed up with the unfulfilling external world, no matter the kudos and achievements attained, one eventually finds a doorway to the rich interior life. The journey from self to self has begun. There ensues great inner exploration and house cleaning, letting go of control and attachments, emptying out the hidden and denied from every locked closet, every dark hidey hole, all in preparation for the arrival of the royal guest. When love becomes your teacher, her fiery cauldron will alchemize the lead into gold. Be patient. Accept and allow the innate wisdom of divinity's perfection to steer your boat. Give up doubt and fear. Trade in density and limitations for the radiant higher planes of light and vastness. Open your eyes, your heart, feeling the beauty and love in which every living thing here has its being. God is on your side. In bewilderment and awe before the great mystery, my words dissolve. Letting go. In getting old, life becomes a series of many deaths, piece by piece, layer by layer, finished and over. Cutting the cords, opening the fist, a stepping away into a steady practice of surrender. Living its own unique I am, each aging leaf dry and brittle, maybe still bearing a dash of color, falls alone in the sky. Not heading for extinction, but a new design and purpose. There is peace in knowing Nothing is ever lost. How could God lose any of herself? Love tricked me. Love tricked me. It snuck into my life and turned me inside out and upside down. My soul became wild, a crazy Majnun, mad for his beloved. And when I became lost, dazed and blinded by the light and heat of the relentless desert sun, love started dissolving everything in me that was not love. I gasped and choked, nearly consumed by the stirred up dust of my past follies and ignorance. Bewildered and in pain at first, I could not fathom that this work of love was really, most definitely, a very good thing. The lies of self-delusion. I am so utterly humbled at suddenly seeing the lies upon lies of self-delusion. Trapped in mind games and sanskaras, the false self never sees what's real behind it all. You've been told this master plan says you will conquer it or it will conquer you. No sitting on the fence this lifetime. So what you gonna do now that the light of awareness has shone on the moment? That presence within. I can break off from anyone except that presence within. Never divided is the unity that has always been. I can break off from anyone except that presence within. It never leaves me, no matter how often I run away. I can break off from anyone except that presence within. Rejection and abandonment flow in and out like endless tides. Surface changes on eternity. I can break off from anyone except that presence within. How can I peel away my own self? Katie, would you like to speak now? Would you like to share a story now? This is where we had decided our break would be.
Oh,
Or do you?
I-
I know, it's amazing.
um,
Better get out the other folder of poems.
I think Baba planned for me not to talk. That was one reason why I came in late. What's a good story? I have so many stories. I don't think I want to speak right now. Does anybody
Okay.
have a question or a comment?
I love your poems. They're right from the heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
I'm so excited about it. And I'm glad that the collaboration is happening between Rosa and Rada, and perhaps these can get published because they need to be out and breathe and dance into the world. So they don't need to be hidden away. So I think this is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Well,
Who's next?
You know, I've been getting the message for a couple of years. Some big shocks in life kind of took the wind out of my sails for a while. And lately I'd been hearing, time to come out from hiding, come out from under the radar. And through Baba's proximity and sweet care, you know, I had been able to take those steps. But I'll tell you, the first time I wrote a poem and hit send out on the ethers, it was a great step into the land of transparency and vulnerability and trust.
When
Yeah.
was that, Katie? When was that? Your first poem? How long have you been writing?
Well, my history of writing is interesting, actually, Betty B, because I remember my first poem was as a teenager, and it was full of what seemed like teenage angst, which is very common. But it was the theme of my life. It was like, what is this life all about? It can't be what I see around me. This total consumerism about the material world and measuring your value by the accumulation of stuff, I simply couldn't relate. And I said, what is the meaning and who am I? What is this life about? And there was one line I remembered, something about secreting the oneness, never to be held. Oh, I never thought like that as a teenager. Well, how did I even know you could make a verb out of secret? It was like, what is this coming through? So poetry showed up, but it was years, and I didn't really pursue it. And it was years and years later, I got into the stream of consciousness writing that many of us know as the morning, from the artist's way, the morning, what is it called, papers? Or something where you just write stream of consciousness, and you allow things from your hidden subconscious and unconscious to come up, and they did. But beyond the kind of startling revelations of doing that, of that happening, I discovered I had two voices that would show up. One was my suffering, kind of whiny personality, what I would call the false self. And there was this really calm, wise, expansive, loving, supported being that would tell me everything was fine, that I was actually on target. How could that be? But she was, and you know, the thing, I knew this so clearly and strongly, that this was not some off-planet being I was channeling. This was my own energy, my own most highly evolved self. And I called her my higher self. And then I thought, aha, I don't have to wait for her to show up. We can have a dialogue by my calling her in. And I would just, and I was a really fast typist. I had been a pianist, a trained classical pianist. And I would type away reams of paper with these, you know, stream of consciousness. And I'd say, hi, do you feel like coming in? And we'd have, you know, whatever. So that was like a really monumental opening for me, because it confirmed my suspicion, well, rather deep, knowing that there was an interior life that I wanted access to, something that was really real. So that door opened. And then the poetry challenge came. And what was most remarkable about that was that in the beginning, I discovered some really what I call shameful, ugly things about myself, only because they were hidden and denied. I thought I was a very liberated, independent woman for a long time. And I discovered this really broken, wounded child inside me that was coveting social approval, that she would sacrifice her own truth. And not only did I discover these kind of revelations inside, but I shared them with the group, which was completely voluntary. I really wanted to get free, and I knew that that was one of the ways to get free, was to put it in the light and share it. So I started this inner exploration of writing poetry to go deeper and deeper, to become more authentic, to find out things I never knew. And about 2 years into it, I seemed to have a shift in consciousness, and they became soul excavations. From inner explorations, they became soul excavations. And all I can say was I was really surprised when many of the women started writing me personal messages about how inspiring the poems were, and that they were a model for themselves, and thanked me. And I tell you this because I went to Baba with tears, and I said, you know, this is so amazing. This was like a self-help tool for me, but it has turned into service for others. And I'm simply in tears about it, that I would have this great blessing, because I found it to be one of the finest joys of life, that something that came through me would touch another's soul and their heart. It really brings tears to my eyes even now. So words have been my friends, and they've really taken me on an interesting journey. And today is another landmark in that journey. Finding really supportive, wonderful Baba family, friends, and maybe reaching out. Who knows? I mean, I think we all know who's in charge, and we'll see what he has in mind. You know, my new attitude about life is, for a few years now, has been say yes to every opportunity, no matter how initially scary it seems. Because every time I've taken that bold step, despite the butterflies in my stomach and the self-consciousness, there have been great rewards. So it gets easier and easier. And I really feel that every moment there's an opportunity to get a little freer or a little more bound. And I really want to get free, spiritually free, free of being under the thumb of this dream, this illusion, and the falsity. So if it happens, that's great, whatever he wants. If it doesn't, that's okay too.
Katie, would you like to continue with some more poems? I'm noticing that we have 15 minutes left. And
Yes, I want you to continue,
I'd
please.
love for them to hear these that are coming up.
Yes, please, please.
True love. Feelings are not always reliable. Love is always true. But for true love to come in, you must vacate the premises. Under the thumb of my samskaras. I've experienced being totally under the thumb of my samskaras, karma. At such times, there's no will or choice, only the state of being trapped inside dark limiting patterns, in great contrast to the light residing within. The extreme and rapid flipping between high and low occurs from internal sources I know not, leaving me feeling ambushed and helpless until mercifully a shift occurs back into equilibrium. Although I understand none of it, I feel certain Baba is not only behind it, but he's also choreographing every step of what has to transpire. And I know there is a forward thrust to it all, as mind-blowing changes and growth have occurred internally. Astonishing, this journey of the soul returning, a bevy of pain and glory. No way to understand. Simply keep on keeping on with full gratitude. Burn and grow. Burn in the fire of self-immolation. Feel yourself arising from those life-giving cinders. Feel the powerful love stream you are becoming. And an internal tsunami is building. How blessed I feel. For love is my teacher, and she lives in my heart. With enthusiasm, I welcome her into the mainstream of my life, leading the way, truing all my ways. Brother Rumi has said, it is only by love that we grow. I am yearning to grow and be free. A deep trust and surrender have taken root in my being, creating a map without limits on love. Oh, friend, turn from the playthings you've cherished so dearly. Drink deeply from the sacred spring within you and enter a new life. The time has come. I don't know who I am. What is there to tell? I don't know who I am, and certainly don't know who he is. If there is anything which I know, it is that this life is mysterious and inscrutable. Anything I say is a mere ripple in the great silence. Love is my only anchor here. I have seen. I have seen that you are divine love without ego, without form, without limit. You are it and that, all that ever was and will be. Come to us on our level of gross consciousness and human flesh so that we might know you just a little. Ever yearning to be more and more in your gaze and arms. To remember you is to contact soul's source, meeting in oneness. You are indeed the embodiment of love, mercy, and compassion, infinitely showering us with your inimitable sweet care as we journey home. My heart full with deepest gratitude, beloved, humbled by the gift of your Nazar, your holy grace. Moving closer. Moving closer as the river empties into the sea. A joyful celebration is due. Love abounds and surrounds, birds sing, crickets dance. The cat curls up against the warm beating heart, purring its pleasure. Night falls as twinkling stars dance in the heavens, moving towards the sun's glorious announcement of God's latest creation, another day. All the wonders, vast and tiny. The world in a grain of sand. The ocean in the drop. Ooh, sounds. Babies cry. Roses bloom. And lovers embrace. God is. The sacred pyre. Who have I become? An elder finally empty of me, at least a part of that fiction. What to do in this emptiness? I wander and sit, monolithic like a majestic rock standing peacefully in still clear water. Is this a taste of spiritual growth? I feel like the falling leaves dropping away in a timeless dance of death and rebirth. Is this emptiness the gain I have longed for? It feels full of significance and hidden mysteries. These days, between the passing clouds of confusion and despair, come many bright moments, stunning surprises, synchronicities, revelations, even miracles, wondrous harbingers of a magical newness. That old me, ragged and worn, I toss her into the sacred fire. She had her day, paid her dues, never letting go of the light and her passionate yearning for freedom and truth. She did pretty well, all things considered. Now, a glorious send-off. Immolation on the pyre of longing and love. Your portrait calls to me. I see your soulful eyes bright and twinkling. Feel your loving smile wrapping me in warm, comforting care. I know for certain this Leela is all you. Thank you, Baba, for being my friend, my guide, and my most beloved through it all. Now, Katie,
Time for the closing.
yes.
Okay. How can I tell you what the mind does not know? How can I whisper the fragrance of the divine? How can I point out the one when nothing else exists? The silence is thundering.
Will you read that again,
Sure.
please?
How can I tell you what the mind does not know? How can I whisper the fragrance of the divine? How can I point out the one when nothing else exists? The silence is thundering.
What a magnificent evening this has been. And it's just the way Baba had it planned.
No
just-
kidding.
Just the way. Oh, and behind you, we see your beautiful artwork. It's nice.
These are magazine collages. When my eyesight started going, I couldn't paint, I couldn't draw. And this I could do. I'm telling you, Baba has put me in a seclusion with him. And I resisted for a long time, but I see the absolute perfection of it now. These collages were something, an outlet for my creativity.
Katie, I want you to know Rosa joined us when she heard your voice.
Oh, little Rosa.
Say something to her.
Hi, sweetie. How are you, my friend?
She loves Katie. Rose, I mean.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Did you hear her?
I haven't seen her for a long time.
She said, "Where is she? She's looking for you."
Animals are so amazing. I was telling this story yesterday or the other day about how when at times I'll just think while I'm looking at my cat, I love you. And there's no sound. She will come flying at me from wherever she is, cross the living room, come up to my face and kiss me. I mean, animals pick up vibration 100%.
That's true, right?
What a gift they are,
I
huh?
just want to tell you something.
Yes, Marilyn.
Well, I just think the two of you are a great team. I love the way she read your poetry. Absolutely exquisite, and took me into another realm and transposed me, brought me right back into my being, grounded me. And it's felt so healing. I hope you continue. The two of you, just wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I feel the same about Radha's contribution.
Oh, with such expression she read, really lovely. Thank you, Radha, and thank you, Rosa.
Thank you so much, Marilyn. It's been such an honor for me to work with Rosa. You can tell from her writing.
Mm,
You
mhm.
know, it's just been a real pleasure. So thank you for that.
You know, we've
Thank
had a magnificent collaboration, Baba, Radha, and myself. It has been. I was telling Radha that just yesterday, I think it was, I got this image that we were old dance partners. And so we were doing this dance, and anything that showed up where we had to make a decision, you know, we would just glide right through it and on to the next thing. There was no contention, no break in the flow. And it was playful and fun as well as so productive. I mean, who would have thought? I couldn't have even imagined such a wonderful experience. And it was like that every day that we got together. And we actually accomplished a lot. Yeah. Great
think it's-
experience.
I think what's been interesting about this process for both of us, for any artist, as we move through our lives and age. And I remember, you know, I've gone through so many different ways of being an artist. And when I retired, I was so unclear. I'd been working and singing with children for years. And before that, I was, you know, working with older actors and directors. And I couldn't imagine what was next. And then Baba just laid it right out there, handed it to me on a silver platter, you know, handed me that phone call from Rosa. And so we got to, I look at Rosa's life, and she's done so many, she's been creative in so many different ways. And it's really inspiring. And it doesn't have to stop. You know, our creativity can just, you know, we go with that flow with Baba. So thank you, Rosa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Baba. No, the journey continues, absolutely. I mean, one of the things, you know, some of the poems talk about all this emptiness I was experiencing. And then Baba decides, okay, time to turn the corner. How about a little public reading of your poetry? So I had to come out and get my brain functioning again. I had to literally oil these rusty cogs, and he just pulled me right out into a whole new phase, just like that. He is so creative, is he not? And absolutely unpredictable, yet totally flawless in everything. So yeah, who knows what's next?
Well,
It's
I hope there will be more readings. And I hope a book or two will come out of it. And certainly friendships are evolving, and you're inspiring us to find our voice. And so I think many things are happening as a result. And fortunately, we've got Sharon with us, and she's going to be with us the fourth Wednesday of next month. And I think the date's the 28th, but let's see, is she still here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon and I were roommates once upon a time back in Somerville, Massachusetts.
Do you remember my cat Simon, my gray cat?
Actually, I don't. My brain, sorry.
Katie was really a good person for me to be around, and very supportive of me as I was becoming a Baba lover. She Kendra Crossan was my main Baba connection, but Katie kind of solidified that when she wanted to put more Baba pictures in the shared living space. It's quite interesting how Kendra helped bring me and Katie together as housemates when Katie needed a place to live. I'm very grateful, Katie. I'm so moved by your poems today,
Oh, thank you.
especially when you mentioned love welcoming her into the mainstream of your life and being open about challenges to kind of clear them out. It's so inspiring. Thank you.
You know, I actually had a dream in which love appeared. And she asked me, do you want to be my student? And without hesitation, I said, sign me up. And my life changed. My life changed. For a while, my life actually became a Rumi poem. I used to not want to read Rumi because I felt so bereft that my life wasn't like any of that. Where is this ecstasy and all this other glorious stuff? But love appeared and I said yes. I said yes.
It's
So if
beautiful.
we have a minute, I want to tell you that I went through a lot of journeys finishing. I felt like my Sufi sanskaras, and although I knew about Baba, I'd actually carried a "Don't worry, be happy" card around for a long time. I felt like he waited, and the minute I was able to separate from this Persian order and Persian master, Baba was outside that door, and he lassoed me. And I'm eliminating all the juicy details, but the gist of it is that he brought me to this Baba lover's house under the guise of I was very stressed about this separation from this Sufi guy, because my heart told me I had to leave, that it was not feeding my soul anymore. And my mind kept saying, yeah, but what if you're being tested? You've read enough teaching stories to know that you can't judge the master. So I'd say, okay, I'll stay. And then my heart would say, oh no, you have to leave. And it was back and forth and it was killing me. When I finally had the courage to leave, which is many stories, one of the things I wanted to do was to have a massage because I was so tense from the stress of months of this yes, no, yes, no. And I walk into this person's little studio apartment in Boston. It is plastered with Mayor Baba's face. Every square inch of it is covered with Baba's face. And included even Baba's fingernails in a floral arrangement made by Mera and the Mandali women. When you're not a Baba lover yet is a bit over the top. Anyway, I fell into Baba's eyes when I looked into the Ancient One poster. And I didn't have waves of love or any of that people talk about. I had this very deep recognition that we knew each other from long, long ago, that we'd been together maybe many times. And I wasn't ready for a teacher. I was very wounded from my experience with the Persian Sufi master. So this guy, who was a long-time Baba lover, an ex-priest named Ed Flanagan, kept pressuring me to come to a Baba meeting. And I said, look, I just can't do it now. I don't want people swarming around me, asking me questions. And I just needed to heal. I needed to heal. And he was persistent. And finally, the bulb went off in my head. It lit up and I got, aha, here's what we can do. You can become my lending library. You pick a book. I read it. If I like it, I'll come back for another. So he gave me How a Master Works because it was written by the Sufi Murshida. And I had been creative, but I'd actually had a complex about drawing that I hadn't studied graphic arts. So I tended to do things like I became a clay artist and where I didn't have to draw. And as I'm reading this book, I have this overwhelming urge that I have to paint, have to draw Baba. But I didn't draw. And when I did draw, I would draw in the center very tight and erase a lot. Well, I didn't fight with this urge. The only paper I had was a big newsprint pad. And for some curious reason, the only art material I found was a Conti crayon that you cannot erase. You cannot erase it. It's an oil-based stick. So I take this pad and this paper and I fill the whole page. And in 20 minutes, there's this beautiful portrait of Baba. So I'm in the hallway spraying fixative on it. And I had been living in the Sufi house as one of the caretakers. And the other man there was a man who was also a caretaker. He came by and I knew him as a computer nerd, unaware that he had been an art major in college. And he sees me spraying. So he peeks around the banister and he says, "Wow, that's pretty nice." And I said, "You like that?" And he said, "You did that?" And I said, "Sort of." Because clearly Baba came through me. He was showing me in a way that was so personally meaningful that he was right there. And even though it took me 20 years to start doing Baba art, he was showing me that deep connection. It was really, it was just his way, his sweetness. And I did go to the next meeting. And one thing that really touched me was Baba Sadra was there. And Zoe Newell, I think, was in charge of either that meeting or whatever. I don't know how it works now. But at the end of the meeting, she said, "Would you like to take home Baba Sadra for the month?" And I looked at her and said, "Are you serious?" She just met me and I could feel the holiness and sacredness of this. And she's saying, "Do you want to take it home with you?" And I said, "Of course." Well, that really won me over big time, that kind of trust. Well, I had just finished massage school. I was finally, I mean, I had an advanced degree, but I had finally decided I couldn't function in the straight world. And when I went into the massage community, I could talk about energy and things that mattered. And I had a whole subculture of people that spoke my language. So that really began my healing. But Baba said otherwise, and I gave up this wonderful job. Right out of massage school, I got a job as the massage therapist of the Women's Executive Health Club at the Boston YWCA. And it was pretty cushy. By the end of that year, I moved to Myrtle Beach. I gave up everything. And life has never been the same. But that's how fast it happened. And I felt like, Baba really waited till I finished those sanskaras, those Sufi sanskaras. Although, I've just left all groups and isms. Sufism does have its sweet spot in my heart because it's the mystical way, actually, of all the paths. At least that's how they feel. It's the path of mystical love and coming to know yourself as God. But now we have the blessing of being with the. Oh, in the book, somebody asked Baba what he thought about Sufis, and he pointed to himself, probably his heart, and he said, "I am the greatest Sufi of them all." And I had to laugh because I thought, oh, I've loved Sufism. And of course, I came to know that Baba was the greatest everything. But at the time, I thought the timing was really so exquisite and kind of him. Yeah. Our beloved.
Wow, Katie, for someone who doesn't show up much, or you have held forth. Wow. Thank you. Big energy. It's wonderful.
Thank you. You know, I'm so not into groups. I had this big death and rebirth, dark night of the soul. And I felt that one of the things that came out of that was that I developed groupitis. I really didn't relate to the group mind, even though I felt very connected to individual Baba people, you know. I've always been somehow an outsider. And with with Angela's amazing global Baba family through Zoom, I have friends and family in the Baba world like I've never had in my life. How I cherish it. Each of you, I mean, it's remarkable.
He gave us a great gift, I'll tell you.
I know. And it just keeps growing and getting better, doesn't it? It
Oh.
gets deeper and wider and
It's
And
a,
we cherish you. We do cherish you. Go ahead, Terry.
we do cherish you. I remember meeting you on the porch in Myrtle Beach,
I remember very well.
and you and Telly, I fell in love with both of you.
Well, I loved you and Diane both. I was so in. Call from wireless color. You know,
Hello?
I was inspired by your love
Hello?
for Bob and your love for each other. And
We're so lucky. Bob has given us such great gifts that we weren't, we're newer to Bubba. It's like maybe like 15 years versus, since our 20s. And I learned something every single day from you all. And it's just, talk about dancing. That's how it makes me feel. Sufi.
yeah, you know, Erich makes an interesting distinction in his books. He talks about becoming his.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because, it is one thing to be a Baba lover, but when you up that relationship to becoming his, you dance to his tune.
Totally.
And then, I mean, I'm not there totally, but I mean, it really can be the end of your worries and suffering.
Especially in the world we live in now. Without Bubba, I don't know what I would do, seriously.
I
Every
agree.
minute of the day that I bring him to work, he cleans teeth with me. I'm so lucky. And when I forget, something will get hard and my brain will go, oh, Bubba, because I haven't brought him with. And when he's with me, even the hard stuff seems easy.
I know. He really, well, like personally, he's given me that willingness to go through everything and sort of in its proper perspective.
Mm-hmm. And he holds our hand, or at least he holds mine.
Yes,
I know
I feel his Nazar that, and what can I say? It's so mind-boggling. He is there so present for each one of us every second in such a perfectly custom designed way while he's running the whole universe.
It's unreal.
Only God.
Oh my God. He says we won't understand. I don't even try. I just love him.
Yeah. Well, you know, there were two lines in one of the poems that really kind of are, I don't know, a credo or a summation of a point I've come to, which is, let's see if I can remember. Accept your unknowing. And parenthetically, that means about everything, except because I really don't know anything. Accept your unknowing and become friends with the great mystery. Some people want answers. Hey, it's way above my pay grade. It ain't gonna happen. and I'm comfortable doing that dance with the great mystery, you know, whatever.
The fear just goes away. It's amazing. That's the
Yeah.
part that I lived in my whole life, so much fear, and now it just feels gone. I'd say like 85% of the time, which is
Wow.
amazing to me.
That's like a get out of jail pass, isn't
Mhm.
it?
Talk about freedom.
Yeah, truly. That's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. Get out of jail. Or the jail of illusion.
I've been trying to figure out, and it's finally here, Betty, the poinsettia. You see it?
It's a baby.
Well, it's the way I've been trying to figure out how to get it on camera, and there it is.
There it is.
Betty's poinsettia inspired my friend to gift me one. Thank you, Baba.
Oh, sweet. Oh, I love it. There. Hello. Hello. You say, hello. Hello, little one. It looks like such a baby from here.
Well, it's got a little bit of an ego. It's compared to what you're saying, but we'll just let that ride right now.
You know, one time when we were all singing the name of God, I have this plant right next to my computer, and I swear it stood up and said, "Oh, that feels so good," showering me with the name of God.
Oh,
I'd just like to take a moment to thank Gayle for hosting and Betty for all of the hosting that you do, and Diane and you know, it's it it's such a gift to all of us, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that you are all willing to take that on, or that Baba has. I don't know if you have anything to do with it, but anyway, I'm just very grateful. I feel like every time I come on Zoom, Betty, you're there. I don't know what you do. Do you ever eat, or do you ever take a bath? Do you ever? It's like, and you're just,
Yeah,
I
you are
appreciate it.
amazing. You just step up to the plate every minute and make things happen.
well, Angela did that for a long time. She spent 2 solid years starting this whole deal,
I'm really.
going to Archie morning and night. She was amazing.
Wow.
And then she
Wow.
said, okay, enough. And I love, somebody said, you think, what does they put it? You, he, you, you think you think you've achieved something or arrived, and then he ups the ante.
Oh yeah.
I love that phrase. And I grumble all the time. I grumble at Angela. No, it's not, I'm too much. Not gonna do it. Nope, nope. But I've never And I've never been sorry. I've never been sorry. I guess I get bigger or something. So far, we'll see how it all. And then I can start getting ideas about, oh, we could do this and we could do that. It gets, really exciting.
You better not ever get too tired to not laugh, because one of the things I've always loved about you and your contribution is your lightheartedness and the joy that you put out there. So,
But even Betty's tears are beautiful.
yes, that's very true. Yeah.
Yeah, we go through. I think we go through the weeping, the weepers. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yes,
I love you
Gayle,
all. We need to go here, so I'm just gonna throw a kiss and Jay Baba.
Hey,
Baba.
Baba.
Okay, Baba.
Thank you for your presence and contribution. Thank you so much.
Katie Rose. Mwah.
Yeah, yeah. What a great soul you are, Katie. It's been wonderful.
You know, I want to thank you again, Gayle. I know I thank you, but it really is such an honor that I was, spotlighted tonight. So thank you for that opportunity.
You just don't know how much you've made us all happy, and inspired us and serenaded us and danced for us and written for us. It's just, it's a blessing. You're a real blessing.
Wow. Thank you, Jay Baba. Wow.
And Radha, thank you, thank you, thank you. Things get to be a gift of love. It's, you've expressed how you've enjoyed, and this has helped your retirement. And we feel your presence so much as you participate so beautifully and effortlessly, and beautiful singing and reading. So it's just immediately became part of the community. It's sort of like, well, she's the real deal.
Oh,
And
thank you, Gayle.
now I get to say how much I appreciate how talented Radha is. I was not allowed to say it before you read.
She got a lecture from me. It was like, don't tell everybody how great I am before we read any poems. We don't want any expectations.
When I heard Radha read my poems at first, I fell in love with my poems, like they weren't even my poems. They had come to life in such a new way that it was like, oh my God, this is just perfect, sublime. You really are you're very gifted and talented, and we're very well matched. So that was something extra special, and I really appreciate your sensitivity and your abilities. And I love those pauses.
I would say to anybody, I guess Marcia's not here, but she was expressing earlier some nervousness about reading her poems. And the biggest advice I would give to anyone that's going to read their poems is to take your time. Take your time to let those words sink in. I do love poetry so much. So thank you. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well,
I have never taken a poetry class. I've never been involved with poetry. I've never read a whole lot of poetry until Baba Zoom. And here
That's
it is.
Fabulous.
Really?
Wow, that is just fabulous.
And you were inspired then to do the poetry spotlight, the poet spotlight. Wow.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
So Gayle, are you always in charge of the poetry spotlight? Is that your
Yep.
thing?
I have been
Wow.
so far, yeah. I
That's
did
great.
do it for a while. I took a hiatus, but I'm back. I'm back, and I'm real excited about Sharon next month.
Yes.
Oh,
Sharon,
Sharon,
I'm looking
Sharon.
forward to that.
And she's got 2 books 3 books at Sherry are. You've got a couple books of poetry and then a memoir, sort of.
Well, there's two books. One's called Wayward Star Devotional Poems, and the other one is When I Lived in the Orphanage, which is the children's home. It's mostly stories with some poems. I'm working on a third book called An Unconventional Heroine. If you want to say a little, if you all do pray or
Yeah. We'll say a prayer.
say something, keep that in your hearts for me to keep moving on my formatting of the stories. Thank you. Shea Baba. I'm going to go now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dear
You know,
Baba
Thank you for
friend,
your
dear
presence
Baba.
and your participation.
Thank you, Katie. You kind of saved my life, probably.
Whoa.
Saved it for Baba.
You know, y'all, there's more poetry after Artie, Max's poetry Zoom tonight, after Artie, right after. I'm gonna read your poems, Rosa, Katie. Rosa,
I heard that somebody on the
great.
grapevine told me. I didn't know. So I thank you very much.
I'm reading the three. If you have any favorites, send them out. I'm reading the three that you sent me. That I have. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I didn't send those to you. I thought that you were a selection, but whatever you choose is perfect.
all right. I know that's what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
So it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, I'll
even
see some of you at Artie tonight.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
fun night this has been. This is just so special.
It's yes to honor Katie Rosa. Hi,
you know,
Sherman. The lady with many names.
well, if I had showed up on time, I was going to introduce myself with all my names. Let me tell you something that I have sent out numerous invitations about this poetry thing. And I have said Wednesday, January 24th, 7 p.m. over and over and over, never thinking anything but that. It was not an issue. And then I sit down and I'm, of course, ready hours before. And suddenly he plants in my head that it's 7:30.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, really? I was late. So were you late too?
I was
Yeah,
very
she
late.
was
I was
late.
like 20 minutes late.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
I guess Baba just wanted me to yak for a while.
And he wanted me not to talk. What did you talk about?
I
Well, you-
actually told them how we selected the poems. It's like how we went through all the poems and I would read one and we'd say yes and no. And the process of organization.
Oh, neat.
So that they, because I know there are other people that like Marcia wants to get her poetry together. And so what helps you, the steps along the way that we did and how we met, how you called me. And so I tried to yak away without stepping on anything that you would say. So it was all great.
That's perfect.
all
Yeah,
great.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And look that we had this time to share afterwards.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so
Right.
enriching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Betty, now that we're in this, we're not still recording, are we?
Oh no.
We
No.
are, but we can, you want me to, I'll stop recording now.
Everybody's going to wonder what I'm saying.
Darn, they're gonna say.